at some analysis. The founder and managing director of the Polar Research and Policy Initiative, Dr. Duane Menezes, joins me now from London. Duane, good to have you on the show. This is a fascinating story when I was reading into it. So the main issue with the people of Greenland right now is whether or not to follow through with this rare earth and uranium mines. Is that it?
Oh, well, yes, quite. So firstly, well, it's great to be here. Greenland sits on some of the largest rare earth reserves in the world. This is concentrated largely in the south of Greenland, in what is possibly the only arable green area of the country. Now, there are some large deposits of rare earths in the north, well, not the north, but sort of the west central region, near Kangerlussuaq, the main airport, Staffatorp deposits. But in the south, you have a fjord, and across the fjord, you have two deposits, which collectively account for one of the largest deposits of undeveloped rare earths. Both are run by, both the licenses are held by Australian companies, one of which is particularly controversial right now. The project, it's called Quanah Sud, as you pointed out. Many reasons for this. For security analysts, they can be quite concerned about Chinese ownership and influence. Those people caring about the environment very much, care about the fact that this is an arable area and the presence of radioactive materials with the rare earth elements could cause radioactive pollution and toxic waste, which would then have an impact on the communities, on the water quality, on the agriculture. You also have implications of large numbers of migrant workers from possibly China coming in a community that is really quite small. So there are a number of factors which make it a rather difficult question. But it would be wrong to say that all Greenlanders are opposed to mining, or all mining projects are out of the question. The party that's complaining about this particular project is complaining about this project only. They aren't necessarily against all mining projects in Greenland. Greenland does provide a very stable framework for mining investment in that regard.
Okay. We're hearing more and more of the climate crisis, and it's become a real driving factor in pretty much everything in our lives. Greenland, literally ground zero when it comes to the climate crisis. How do you see it sort of it being played out in the future?
Well, the Greenlanders have lived there for thousands of years. They know how to manage the Arctic better than anyone outside Greenland. And for me, the question here always comes in to what do the Greenlanders actually want? But when you listen to global media, you very often hear the voices of environmental groups or big business groups outside the Arctic talking about what should happen within the Arctic. What I like about this particular election is the world is listening to the public discourse happening within Greenland. It is the voices of the Greenlanders that must really dictate the future of that particular country. Greenland does not exist to be a living museum or a nature reserve for the pleasure of somebody who sits in London or San Francisco. And Greenland is not responsible for climate change around the world. It's facing the impact of it. But to make Greenlanders, to deny them the right to basic development, to schools, to hospitals, to roads, to basic infrastructure, economic opportunities, or jobs, would be wrong for the rest of the world to expect.
You talked about, it's important to talk about what Greenlanders want. So let me ask you, I mean, this is an island or a very large piece of land that has about 60,000 inhabitants. Do they want to be sort of economically independent or less reliant on Copenhagen, or do they want independence?
Independence is obviously on the table. It is an important question at all times of the year for many Greenlandic voters and many Greenlandic parties. This particular election is not all about independence. But here's the thing. Economic self-sufficiency and political independence from Denmark are two different things. Whether or not the Greenlanders want to be independent from Denmark today or at some point in the future is for them to decide. And the parties, even the parties that want independence, mainly disagree about when that independence should be achieved. What they do not disagree on is that Greenland does need economic self-sufficiency. It's that economic independence and resilience which is pivotally important, but absolutely important to a country so potentially vulnerable under certain circumstances and potentially very resilient and full of opportunity in others. But they really need to be given that opportunity to develop and decide for themselves what sort of future they wish to have.
All right, Dr. Duane Menezes, live for us from London. Thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour. I do appreciate the analysis.